Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have an article here with an assistant professor who makes a certain claim, and I will show you how this assistant professor thinks, and I will tell you straight up front here, he should not be teaching pigs, let alone human beings, young human beings, adults. So this article comes from the Columbus Dispatch, and this is an article by John Kerezi. So this John Kerezi is an associate professor of journalism and media studies at Cuyahoga Community College. So he is in the college, Cuyahoga in Ohio, right? Columbus is in Ohio. Let's go with the title. Ukraine battling Russia with one hand tied behind backs. US must send more weapons. So, I'm reading again. Ukraine battling Russia with one hand tied behind backs. Backs, okay. This John Kerezi is an associate professor of journalism and media studies at Cuyahoga Community College. Now, he's going to give you an analogy, so pay attention to the analogy. With no provocation. So he makes an analogy between this and Ukraine and Russia. So, with no provocation, suppose a bigger and stronger person starts, with no provocation, battering you in a street brawl. Many observers expect the enemy to knock you out with just a couple of punches, but you not only withstand those first blows, you counterattack and you do remarkably well in the fight. All right. As a result, outsiders step in and force you continue fighting with one hand tied behind your back. Would that be fair? No. But what's the relationship between this analogy and Russia and Ukraine conflict? Because there's many flaws here. The way you express it, Mr. Associate Professor Kerezi, it's not fair. No. But now let's make it a little bit, let's put it in the context of actually this is what you want to do. So the bigger and stronger person obviously is Russia, and then you, poor you are Ukraine. Now the outsiders are the rest of the world, okay, which have provide weapons and all that, because they are the ones who stepped in. Because he goes further to say that's what the Biden administration is doing right now. So these are the outsiders to our ally Ukraine. So United States is the outsider. Okay, let's go. First, this associate professor, he must have a PhD, at least a master's degree to teach at the college, at a community college. He has to have at least a master's degree. Nevertheless, let's go. He says, with no provocation, Mr. Assistant Professor, you don't take into consideration what you say, but you ask the bigger guy as well to see maybe he's got some reasons that he was provoked. If you ignore his reasoning, yes, you get only the other persons, in this case you guys who got beaten by this guy. You take just your side of the story into consideration. Well, Mr. Assistant Professor Kerezi, this is very unfair. So from the very beginning, you set the stage in a very unfair way and not representing reality. So all of a sudden you portrayed the bigger guy as being necessarily the bad guy because you give the reason of with no provocation. I think the Russians can provide you, assistant professor, a list of provocations that they consider provocations. And he obviously acts on whatever he perceives as provocation, okay? Now, let's move on. It says here that he batters, okay, and then he says here that as a result, outsiders step in and force you to continue fighting with one hand tied behind your back. How is so? He is referring to the fact that the United States of America provides weapons, but tells Ukraine not to use them to hit certain targets. That's what the assistant professor, I'm assuming he's considering. Because he says here that that's what the Biden administration is doing right now to our ally, Ukraine. First, Ukraine is not our ally. That's another fallacy. There's no alliance signed between the two countries. There's no partnership signed. There's no memorandums signed. And there's no organization that we are allies in any way. You are not part of NATO. You are not part of any direct and bilateral agreement. So by the same token, by the same reason that you employ, assistant professor, Russia is our ally as well, has the same level. We're not at war with Russia. We're not at war with Ukraine. We're not allies. We are allies because we sympathize with them. But that doesn't mean we're allies. So, and then it says here that our ally, okay, you upgraded this guy to an elevated to an ally. Ukraine President Zelensky has urgently requested dozens of U.S. artillery rocket systems, such as multiple HIMARS, has pledged to use these weapons for defusing purposes only, to repel Russian invaders. Yet the Biden administration so far has provided just 4 such systems. This is dated the 22, which is today. As of now, Ukraine has 12, not 4. So you're ill-informed, Mr. Assistant Professor. Then it says that only they provided the, I'm going to say, artillery rocket systems such as M142 high mobility artillery rockets and the M207T multiple launch rocket system. So they provided this, they provided financial support and so on. And it says that yet the Biden administration so far has provided just 4 such systems. Mr. Assistant Professor, United States has no obligation to provide you in your fight with the guy who you claim attacked you unprovoked. So, first, we're not allies, the rest of the world with you. Secondly, that guy must have many reasons to attack you, so maybe he's justified in attacking you. Yeah? Thirdly, we provided you with weapons. So you had this amount of weapons and troops at the beginning. And then they diminished. And we gave you more. So we gave extra. So we increased your capability. But we said, do not hit the guy over there because the guy is going to hit us. He's going to hit all of us. So we gave you extra with no obligation whatsoever. And you tell us that we do not allow you to do whatever you want with how much we give you because we want to give you? If we didn't give you anything, you had the same hands at that time anyway. So we gave you a third hand. But the hand that we gave you without a finger. Okay, let's go this. Without this finger. So you can still use it as a fist, but without the thumb. And you claim that we tie hands behind your back or one hand? How so, Assistant Professor? You still have the same army you started with. Obviously more depleted because they got killed and destroyed. So we gave you extra. We didn't take anything from what you had. So where is the hand we took away from you? No, we gave you something under certain circumstances and requirements. If not, we don't give you anything. We are not are under no obligation to give you anything. You're not our friend. You're not our ally. We have no anything written between us, agreement saying we have to provide you. Nothing. We give you because we want to, and we want to fuel your war so you can do this because we have other interests, and we just use you. That's all. So, assistant professor, you got things very wrong. You assess that big guy did not have any reason to punch this guy, the little guy, in the face, first. Secondly, you said that we are allies. We're not allies. We're not even friends. There's no such thing as friendship in the international arena. It's just interest. All right? And you're journalism and whatever you are over there. And thirdly, we didn't take anything from you. We gave you, but we didn't give you all. And you're upset that we didn't give you all. So, assistant professor, I'm sorry, you are teaching. You should not be teaching. And besides, you have probably, as I said, a PhD, and you're teaching adults. You're not teaching children. So you have to reason. Imagine having one like me in your classroom. What would you do? I know what you would do. You start calling me names. So, nevertheless, that's just an assertion based on the way you think here. So these are the people who write columns, and they are assistant professors and teach children how to reason in politics, right? Reason in journalism. He teaches the journalists how to think, how to write their papers, articles, right? Professor of Journalism and Media Studies. All right, so this is the level, my friends. This is a level. Well, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.